I married my American husband Tom 5 years ago and moved from France to Ohio to be with him. His family seemed warm and welcoming. We had dinners together every month, celebrated holidays, texted regularly. I thought I'd been accepted into the family. Then I accidentally overheard a conversation that shattered everything I believed. Tom's mom was talking to his sister about serious family financial problems, asking for advice about their father's medical debt and potential bankruptcy. I was shocked. I'd never heard about any of this. When I asked Tom why his family never mentioned these problems to me, he said they don't discuss real problems with people outside the core family. I said, I've been married to you for 5 years. I am family. He said not in the way his parents define family. They're polite and friendly with me, but they don't consider me truly part of the family because I'm not American and didn't grow up with them. For 5 years, I'd been included in surface conversations about weather and sports while being systematically excluded from anything real or important. This is the story of how I discovered my American in-laws had been treating me like a permanent guest rather than actual family. My name is Sophie, and I met Tom when he was working in Paris for a tech company. We fell in love, got married, and decided to settle in his hometown of Columbus, Ohio, so he could be near his family. His parents, Linda and Robert, seemed delighted to have us nearby. His sister Jennifer and brother Michael were friendly and welcoming. I thought I was lucky to marry into such a close family. Family dinners happened monthly at Linda and Robert's house. Everyone gathered, ate together, talked, laughed. The conversations were pleasant but always stayed on safe topics: sports, weather, TV shows, neighborhood gossip. Nothing too personal or deep. I assumed that was just American family style. Keep things light and positive. I tried to participate in conversations but often felt slightly outside them. They'd reference shared memories from Tom's childhood I wasn't part of. They'd discuss people from their community I didn't know. When I asked questions to learn more, they'd explain briefly then move on. I felt included, but never quite central. Tom's family was unfailingly polite to me. They asked how I was doing, complimented my cooking, thanked me for coming. But their politeness was exactly that: polite. Not warm or intimate. They treated me like a friend of the family, not an actual family member. I just didn't realize it, because I assumed that's how American families were with daughters-in-law. The revelation came during a holiday dinner. I'd gone upstairs to use the bathroom, and on my way back down, I heard Linda and Jennifer talking in the kitchen. Linda was crying softly, telling Jennifer about their father's medical bills from a recent hospitalization. She said they were looking at potential bankruptcy and didn't know what to do. Jennifer was trying to console her and offering to help financially. I stood frozen in the hallway, shocked. Tom's father had been hospitalized? When? Why didn't anyone tell me? We'd had family dinner just 2 weeks ago, and nobody mentioned anything. Robert seemed fine. Nobody looked worried or stressed. How had they hidden a major health crisis and financial disaster so completely? I quietly went back upstairs and waited a few minutes before coming down, not wanting them to know I'd overheard. At dinner that night, I watched everyone carefully. Linda and Robert laughed and joked. Jennifer chatted normally. Michael told funny stories. Nobody seemed stressed or worried. There was no indication that the family was facing bankruptcy or that Robert had recently been hospitalized. They were performing normalcy so convincingly, I almost wondered if I'd misheard the conversation. After we got home, I asked Tom about his father's health. He said his dad was fine. I said, I thought I heard something about a hospitalization? Tom's face changed. He asked where I heard that. I admitted I'd overheard his mom talking to his sister. He looked uncomfortable and said yes, his dad had some health issues recently, but everything was okay now. I asked why nobody told me. He said it wasn't a big deal and they didn't want to worry people. I pressed harder. I said his mom was crying about bankruptcy. That sounds like a big deal. Tom got defensive. He said family finances were private and not something they discuss outside the immediate family. I said, I am immediate family. I'm your wife. He said yes, but his parents are from a generation that keeps financial problems private. They don't even really like discussing it with him and his siblings. I said, but they clearly were discussing it with Jennifer. Tom admitted his parents talked to Jennifer about serious family issues because she's their daughter and has been part of the family her whole life. They trust her judgment on family matters. I asked if they'd ever talk to me about serious issues. Tom hesitated, then said honestly, probably not. They see me as Tom's wife, not as a full family member in the same way Jennifer is. I was stunned. After 5 years of marriage, I was still an outsider to them. I started paying attention to family dynamics differently. I noticed that serious conversations happened when I wasn't around. If I entered a room and people were discussing something intense, they'd quickly switch to light topics. If I asked about something I'd partially overheard, they'd give vague non-answers and change the subject. They were actively managing what information I had access to. At family gatherings, I noticed Jennifer, Michael, and Tom would sometimes step away together to have private conversations. I'd assumed they were just catching up on sibling stuff, but now I realized they were discussing real family issues without me. The three siblings were the inner circle. I was perpetually outside it. I confronted Tom about this pattern. I told him I felt excluded from his family. He admitted his family has always had a distinction between blood family and people who married in. His parents are very close with their kids. They share everything with them, but they've never really opened up to spouses. Tom's brother Michael has been married for 8 years, and his wife Sarah experiences the same exclusion. I asked why Tom never told me this before. He said he didn't think it was important. I'd been included in family dinners, which he thought was enough. He didn't realize I'd notice or care about being excluded from serious conversations. I said, "Of course I care. I thought I was part of this family." Tom tried to explain his parents' perspective. They're from a generation and region of America that's very private about problems. They don't share financial struggles, health issues, or family conflicts outside their core unit. Even Tom only learns about serious issues when they're nearly resolved. His parents see sharing problems as burdening people unnecessarily. They also don't fully trust that spouses will stay in the family permanently, given divorce rates, so they keep the most sensitive information within the bloodline. I asked Sarah, Michael's wife, about her experience. We'd always been friendly, but never really talked about family dynamics. She confirmed everything. She's been married to Michael for 8 years and has never been included in any serious family discussions. She hears about problems after they're resolved, if at all. She's accepted this as how Tom's family operates. She said it bothered her initially, but she stopped expecting anything different. I asked if she ever felt lonely being excluded from her husband's family's real life. She admitted yes. She said it's strange to spend holidays and dinners with people who are pleasant and friendly but never truly let you in. She said she's built her own support system with her own family and friends because she can't rely on her husband's family for emotional connection. That felt sad to me. After 8 years of marriage, she'd given up on being truly accepted by her in-laws. I talked to Linda directly. I told her I'd overheard the conversation about Robert's hospitalization and financial problems. I said I was hurt that nobody told me. I wanted to help and be there for them, but I couldn't if they kept me in the dark. Linda looked uncomfortable. She said she appreciated my concern, but these were private family matters. I said, I am family. I'm married to her son. How can I not be part of the family? Linda said I am part of the family, but certain things are just between her and her children. She said it's not personal. She doesn't discuss these things with Sarah either. It's just how she operates. I pointed out that excluding daughters-in-law from real conversations while including them in superficial ones creates a false sense of intimacy. We're close enough to have monthly dinners, but not close enough to know about hospitalizations or bankruptcies. That's not real relationship. That's performance of family without actual trust or vulnerability. Linda said she understood my perspective, but that's just how she does family. She wasn't going to change at her age. Tom was caught in the middle. He understood my hurt, but also defended his parents' right to handle family information however they wanted. He said I needed to accept that his family wasn't going to operate the way French families do. They're more private, more reserved, and more protective of personal information. That's not wrong, just different. I said different is fine, but exclusion isn't. Being excluded from real conversations while being included in fake ones is worse than not being included at all. We went to couples therapy to work through this issue. Our therapist helped me see that Tom's family's behavior, while hurtful, stemmed from cultural values about privacy and family boundaries. They believe keeping problems private is protective, not exclusionary. From their perspective, they're being considerate by not burdening me. But the therapist also challenged Tom's acceptance of this exclusionary behavior. She said while his parents can share or not share information as they choose, Tom has an obligation to his wife. By allowing his family to exclude me while expecting me to participate in gatherings, he was putting me in an untenable position. Tom realized he'd been trying to have it both ways. He wanted me to be part of his family for holidays, but accepted his family's exclusion of me from real intimacy. He'd normalized his family's behavior because he grew up with it. He didn't see how hurtful and isolating it was for me. We decided on new boundaries. We still attend family events, but I no longer expect real connection with Tom's parents. I'm friendly and polite, but I don't invest emotionally in relationships with people who don't truly include me. I've built closer relationships with my own family and friends. Tom also started calling out his family's exclusionary behavior. When they'd switch topics as I entered a room, he'd ask them to continue the conversation. When they'd step away for private family talks, he'd insist I be included, or he wouldn't participate. He told his parents that excluding his wife from family information while expecting her to maintain family relationships was unfair and needed to change. His parents resisted initially. Linda said I was causing problems by being oversensitive about family dynamics. I said I wasn't causing problems. I was naming problems that already existed. Excluding daughters-in-law from real conversations while including them in fake ones is dysfunctional. It creates false intimacy and breeds resentment. Linda said that's just my opinion, and her family had operated this way for generations without problems. I pointed out that Sarah, after 8 years, had given up on real connection with them. Jennifer's ex-husband had complained about the same exclusion. Tom was now seeing it as a problem. Maybe their way of operating did cause problems. They just ignored them. Linda said she'd think about what I said, but made no promises to change. Over the next year, things slowly shifted. Tom's advocacy for me made a difference. His parents started being more open about family issues. They stopped completely hiding serious situations. When Robert had another health scare, Linda told me about it. It was progress. Jennifer became an unexpected ally. She told me she'd always felt her parents were too closed off, and it had affected her own marriage. Her ex-husband had felt excluded, which contributed to their divorce. She started actively including me in family conversations and challenging her parents when they excluded spouses. The biggest change came when Tom and I had a baby. Suddenly, his parents wanted to be much more involved. They wanted regular visits, updates, photos. I told them they couldn't have access to our child without having real relationship with me. I wasn't going to facilitate their relationship with their grandchild while they kept me at arm's length. That motivation finally broke through their resistance. Linda started making real effort to connect with me. She asked about my life, my feelings, my experiences. She shared more about her own struggles. It wasn't easy for her, but she tried. Over time, our relationship deepened. I understood that fear, but explained it was self-fulfilling. By keeping me at a distance, she made our family unit feel separate from hers. If she'd included me from the beginning, our family bonds would be stronger, and I'd be less likely to ever want distance. Exclusion creates the very separation she feared. 5 years after that overheard conversation, my relationship with Tom's family is completely different. They include me in real discussions now. When problems arise, I hear about them. When decisions need to be made, my input is sought. I'm no longer performing pleasant guest at family dinners. I'm actually part of the family. It took a crisis, confrontation, and a baby to get here, but we made it. Sarah, sadly, never experienced the same shift. She's still excluded from real family conversations. She's accepted it as permanent and built her life around that reality. I feel sad for her, but also understand. Not everyone has the energy or desire to fight for inclusion in a family that's determined to keep you outside. The experience taught me that American families vary tremendously in how they define and practice family inclusion. Some American families immediately embrace spouses as full family members. Others maintain rigid boundaries between blood family and people who married in. Tom's family was the latter. They needed to be challenged and pushed to expand their definition of family to include daughters and sons-in-law as real members. It also taught me that cultural differences in family dynamics go deep. French families tend to include spouses immediately and share everything. American families, at least some, maintain privacy and separation even within extended family. Neither is inherently better, But the American approach felt isolating and exclusive to me as someone from a more open culture. The key lesson was that exclusion disguised as privacy is still exclusion. Tom's family justified their behavior as protecting privacy and not burdening people. But the effect was creating tiers of belonging within the family. Some people were worthy of trust and real connection. Others were kept at surface level permanently. That's not healthy family dynamics. That's gatekeeping intimacy, based on bloodline rather than choosing to build genuine relationships with people who join your family through marriage. I'm grateful Tom's family eventually changed, but I wish it hadn't required such confrontation and struggle. I wish they'd chosen inclusion from the beginning. I'll never get back those first 5 years of surface-level relationship when we could have been building real connection. But at least our future is different. My children will grow up seeing their grandmother have real relationship with their mother, not the fake friendly distance I experienced for years. That matters.